Hello, everyone, and welcome to Orísun Talks, episode 2. So, let me introduce myself very quickly. I am Sharina Brown, founder of Orísun Talks and Orísun Productions. And Orísun Productions is a platform created to provide a safe space for Black creatives to express themselves, really to showcase their talents in a way that is free from stereotype and allows them to express themselves fully. So that's what we are about. And today we are joined happily by two wonderful guests. First of all, we are joined with Michele Austin, who is an experienced and very talented actress who has numerous theatre and TV and film credits. Recently, she was nominated for the Best Actress in a Supporting Role last year for the Olivier Award nominee for Best Actress in Supporting Role for Cyrano de Bergerac, West End. Some of her other theatre credits include The Hunt, Medea, and The Chain Play at Almeida Theatre, White Teeth at the Kiln Theatre, Instructions for Correct Assembly, The Lost Mariner, and Been So Long at the Royal Court, The Seagull at the Lyric Hammersmith, To Kill a Mockingbird at Regent's Park, and Generations at the Young Vic. Michele has appeared in many of the country's most popular television programs, including Dark Heart, Doctors, EastEnders, The Casual Vacancy, Death in Paradise, Holby City, Peep Show, Silent Witness, Outnumbered, and The Bill, which I'm really excited about. She was in The Bill. But we're going to talk about that later. I know, I've just revealed my age, sorry. Her film credits, we haven't finished, include The Children Act, What We Did on Our Holiday, Another Year, The Infidel, All or Nothing, and Secret and Lies. Welcome, Michele. Our second guest is Christopher Tajah. Christopher trained at Rose Bruford Drama School. His credits include Fabian in Twelfth Night, Bottom in A Midsummer's Night's Dream, Jeremy in Joe Turner's Come and Gone, Clay in The Dutchman, Derek in Doctors on BBC One, and his film work includes Joseph in a feature, Isaac in The Echoes of War, Boehm in The Risen and Risen 2, and DCI Frame in Red Call. He is recently best known for his Offie-nominated role in A Dream of a King, where he played Martin Luther King. And he's writing at the moment Under Heaven's Eyes, which he's going to tell us all about. So welcome, Christopher. Thank you, both of you, for joining us this afternoon. So I guess perhaps we should start with lockdown number 3. So here we are, 2021. Some of you may have made resolutions. I don't know, New Year's resolutions. How's it been going for you, Michele, lockdown?
Definitely this number 3 is harder because the lack of the sun has been that, I think. I didn't realise quite how much that helped the first time round, just being able to get some real vitamin D. But weirdly, work is kind of, that has picked up. So we're sort of in this weird thing where there is work happening, and and you've got that sort of head on, but we're still in this really dark place. It's just it's quite difficult. But resolutions, I mean, to get through, to try and to still fit into the clothes that are in the wardrobe. I mean, I'm like struggling like everybody else to just take some exercise every day, and all of that. But it's okay. I mean, I think I am looking forward to things opening again. That's what I'm feeling like now. I'm imagining all the beautiful things that I'm going to do. And I think, like a lot of people are, a lot of people, it's important that you go, oh, the things that I really miss are the really small things that are so important, that they're sitting in somebody's house and sharing food with them and having a laugh with a friend round a table. I mean, those things are just like, who knew? Like, who knew?
Yeah. As my mum says, man plans, God laughs, sort of.
Yeah.
We did not know this was coming, and here we are. We need to really sort of treasure those small things. What about you, Christopher? How's lockdown 3 been for you? What have you been up to?
Well, it's like everyone. It's just trying to understand what this thing is, and how we all relate with each other and how we get through it. It's tough. There's no doubting that, and we just have to find our way through. For me, I'm not looking too far ahead. I'm just dealing with things as they come. But work-wise, bizarrely, I've been very, very creative. I think it's a good time for writers, bizarrely, because as a writer, this is what you do anyway. You lock yourself away and you just sit in front of your computer and you just write.
Yeah.
So bizarrely, I've been very creative. It's been a good time as regards to that. And work-wise, it's quite interesting as well, because we're having to find, as artists, different ways of getting ourselves out there. So this new thing, that we're on now was completely new to many, certainly to me. This Zoom thing, I've done jobs, obviously, through this. We have to. This is the only way we can communicate. Auditions through this Zoom link thing. So we're finding a way, and we have to find a way. And then from beginnings, there's new journey.
Yes,
and
I have to say the learning, having to learn quickly and without complaint, for me has been quite, like there used to be all the complaints about self-tapes, but now there's literally like, well, you have to do it. So learning how to do the self-tape quickly, efficiently, not mucking about, worrying about it too much anymore. I have to say, I don't like the Zoom meetings very much, but I mean, it is what it is. But,
Yeah, I prefer the in-person meetings too. I'm really very much a people person, and I miss that connection. Christopher, you spoke about your creativity and being more creative really during lockdown and the writing process. So I want to ask you about your one-man show, where it's so brave to do a show where you're the only person on stage for 45 minutes to an hour, and to tackle such a weighty subject as Martin Luther King. Can you tell us a little bit about that, about the process and what that was like?
Yeah, it was mad. It was crazy. It was, well, you think these things through. You think, okay, I'm going to write something. What am I going to write? I'm going to write a one-man show. I'm going to write about Martin Luther King. Almost the most famous man almost ever. Such a fantastic man, such a great man with so much prominence, even now, more so even now.
Yeah.
And then not only you're going to write a story about him, and what are you going to say? How are you going to say it? So it was a challenge. It is scary. But it was very fulfilling. Very. I felt empowered doing it. I didn't know.
I've got a picture here of you sort of doing your thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's It's quite, I mean, it's a fantastic image. How did you deal with, sort of embodying this, as you mentioned, a larger than life character
Mm,
whose importance
mm.
has never waned and is more important now than before?
Yeah, yeah. You see, I didn't know if I could. I didn't know if I could. I didn't know if it would make sense. I didn't know if it was going to be relevant. I spent a lot of time researching it, researching the man, researching his life, and then trying to decide what aspect of his life am I going to present, and then what story of that, what's going to be interesting about that one person telling a story about that great man. In the end, I decided that there was something significant about it. What pulled me into him was the speech that the mountaintop speech that he
Yes,
delivered.
very famous.
He delivers this speech and he's dead the next day.
Yeah.
And he has a premonition almost that he knows he's going to die. What makes him deliver that speech? That's what pulled me in. And from that, it took me into trying to sketch this great man. But I came from the aspect of allowing the audience to discover the man behind the icon. So I wanted to find out who he was, the man. And how I approached that was looking at that speech, but going backwards a little bit.
Right.
So the night before he delivers that speech, he's in Memphis in his motel room. And the premise of my story is, if we had the power, a click of a switch, snap of a finger, to go back in time, 1968, Memphis, Lorraine Motel, tap on that door, and Martin Luther King was to open that door, who would we meet? How would he appear? What would he say? Who was he? And in order to reflect that, I go back to his earliest times that I can think of. That right. I give a little story. I give a little piece in my play when he relates to his father. So I take you right back to when he's a young Martin, and this is all creative. This is just me being a writer. I'm using dramatic license here. But that's
Michele,
what I do.
Sorry, I just want to bring Michele into this conversation, this part of the conversation, because I don't know if you've ever played a real life character or someone who either is living or lived in the past. But is your process similar? How do you tap into embodying a character, whether they're real or fictional?
Well, it depends. Well, I don't know how it was for Christopher, but I did do Diane Abbott for the riots, and obviously the thing about Diane Abbott is she has a really distinctive voice, and she does really distinctive tricks which I can't really remember to do now, but we all know she does all of that thing where she goes very high, and then anyway. So so I suppose you tap in, you find the things that you can. If it's somebody real, I think you find the things that you can that identify them without it being a complete impersonation, because you have to perform. You have to perform the play. So I have done real people. I'm trying to think who else I might have done, but she's the first person that comes to mind. But in terms of building a character, it's pretty much the same, really. You're just kind of, because I've worked with Mike Lee a few times, so there's that thing of trying. I think I start from a place of usually basing it on somebody that I've seen or that I know, or there are things that sometimes I log things in when I see people on the street or on the bus, or little quirks, and tend to try and use those somewhere down the line. So that's how I sort of key into it. And obviously you use the text and what you're given and everything.
I guess as actors, we're all absorbing, what we observe around us. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm forever sort of eavesdropping. I mean, not that there's many opportunities now, but I was a great eavesdropper in a cafe, and sometimes I'd be caught, and I have to sort of declare.
Well, I have to say, my husband is a writer, and he has famously is seen sort of walking down the street, and he stops and he doesn't realize he's doing it, but he stops because he's watching somebody on the other side of the road. And I have been walking on the other side of the road and seen him like just standing still, sort of staring at somebody in the distance. I mean, because people are fascinating, and actually that's what is engaging to all of us, isn't it, when we watch something that, you know, we watch something that we really love and characters that we really identify with. It's about the realness, you know,
the little things. So Christopher, what were the sort of the small things? I mean, bearing in mind that nobody wants to see, you know, an impersonation. I mean, Michelle's right on that. So what are the small things that you chose about Martin Luther King that, you know, would give the entire performance a sort of a ring of truth to it?
So to answer that honestly, I couldn't say, to be honest. I know what I worked on, and I know what I tried to embody. I tried to embody him. Obviously there's the voice, but the audience will have to tell you or me, and they did once we you know, the show was over, especially up in Edinburgh, what they feel about it, you know. So you'd have a discussion with them. I know what I tried to do. What I tried to do was to embody him, and the main thing that we have is Martin's voice. That amazing voice. There's never been a voice like it in our memories. So that's what I try to hang it on. Also, for me, it's the great dignity of the man, the great intelligence of the man, and the gravitas of the man. But then there's the private side of him. So within my play, what I tried to do was the public side that we all know, the speech orator. Who was he in his private space? What were his fears, his doubts, his concerns? And that's what the play mixed. We got the public side and we got the private side. Audiences will have to tell you whether it worked or not, but that's certainly what that was the chief.
I suppose the other thing that's sort of coming to mind, that sort of is a connection for all three of us, is that obviously there's, you know, Black Lives Matters, that's George Floyd killing, which, you know, again sort of brings MLK's teachings and, you know, more to the fore. But in terms of our profession, there has been a lot of discussion, and I don't know if either of you have been privy to this, the discussion about, you know, creating more stories that have, you know, Black characters at the forefront and on the stage and screen. And Michele, I want to talk about your role in Cyrano de Bergerac, which was, I mean, I went to see it twice. It blew my mind. I mean, really. I mean, and you know, you have been quoted as saying that it is diversity in actual practice.
Oh, completely.
Talk a bit more about that, please.
Well, it's all, I mean, so much of it is all about Jamie Lloyd. It's about how he works, and, you know, and he certainly puts his money where his mouth is. He doesn't just talk the talk. It was the most diverse company, and I mean company, crew, as well as actors, that I've ever worked with. And that was so exciting. It was so exciting. But also the other thing about Jamie is that he absolutely lets you, I mean, he wants you to do the work, obviously, and but he lets you play, and he's open to you giving him as many ideas as you possibly can muster. So it was, you know, it was really exciting, and it was really hard work. He works a really short day, which as a mum is like amazing. Like, like he does like a really intense day, which I wish more people would do in our industry, in the theatre industry at least. And gosh, what about that? I mean, also
I've got a great picture of you here, with Karuna Stammel in the center. And
Yeah.
I love this pic because you look like you're really cross with your daughter or something. That's your cross mum. I've done
really
that look
nice.
before, to
That
little
really is.
effect, I have to say.
That really is
But
very
yeah,
nice.
that's like your cross mum look.
But it is that thing of like, sometimes the best work that we do is when we're under. It's that job that you think, I don't know if I'm good enough to do this. This is really hard. Oh my God! You go home. It was that kind of job, and I thank the Lord that I got it. That I was in the room. I learned
And
so
you got an
much.
Olivia Award nomination as
Well,
a result. I mean, it was
got the nomination. That was very, they can never take that away from me now.
no. I mean, and it was a, as I say, I saw it twice. But what was incredibly moving for me, I had to really keep it down, was to see a dark-skinned black woman in the lead. And
AJ, yes.
another dark-skinned black woman, you, in a major supporting role, and both with natural hair. My gosh, I was in this audience and I was bursting with
Yeah.
pride. It was such a beautiful thing to see.
And
And
sorry to, but I
no,
was just
it
going to
was
say
just wonderful. You go ahead.
that's so much about Jamie, though. That's so much about his kind of his idea about putting these people on stage. Is it was very much about bringing us to these particular characters, and a lot of that, and let's not take it away, is about James McAvoy, who is an extraordinary actor. I've worked with him when he wasn't a star, and I've worked with him now he's a star. He's the same person. He's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And when you're in a room with somebody who's giving you that and coming into work with that, then you can't turn up not really knowing it and not really being present, because you just would be doing yourself and everybody else such a disservice. But yeah, the hair thing and the look, I mean, I think that our industry is changing. But our industry is in the world, and the world still has the prejudices it has. So,
absolutely,
it's, the decision to lock my hair was fraught with, will I ever work? Should I get a wig? It was fraught with all that. And I still sometimes think, I should really have a wig in a drawer. But then I think, well, if they want me in a wig, they'll put me in a wig. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
But these are the sort of discussions I guess we have to have with the internal discussions we have to have with ourselves, just over hair as a black female creative. Shall we plait it? I've been to auditions and I've had to say the plaits come out, they're not permanent. That sort of dialogue you have to have. Yeah. Which in a way is kind of, it does wear you down sometimes, but you've got to keep positive about it. Yes.
But I think also, especially in that, when you're talking about in terms of light-skinned or dark-skinned, I think there were so many cliches. I don't know about if Christopher will sort of testify to this in terms of, there were so many tropes. I don't see that many really, really fat black male actors, for example, because there seems to be an expectation that black male actors look a certain way. Now, we know that the world does not look just one way. So we are in an industry where young men now audition with tight tops on or no top on, regardless of colour. I mean, we are in an industry where image is... it's all pervading, it's all pervasive, and everybody is subject to some really, really messed up ideas.
And Christopher, how have you, as a black male actor, I mean, how have you been able to sort of navigate that precipice of, stereotype and negative tropes?
Sure, but it's one of the reasons why I started to concentrate more on writing and producing roles that I want to see, or I want to see other females in, or other young males in, or whatever. Just play roles. You don't have to be a certain way. For me, if I go for an audition, if I get asked, it's usually for roles. I'll put myself up for everything because I don't have an agent. I just put myself up. You can do it via Spotlight. You don't have to have an agent. So I just put myself up for everything. But the jobs that generally come back to me, unless they know me and know of my work and stuff, it will be for the hard guy or the bouncer, or it still is. You know, I won't play the romantic lead. They won't see me as that. If I want to go for a role like that, I have to write it myself. It's a great director like you've worked with, Michele, you know, who might see the possibility. I mean, things are changing, but we have to keep pushing. And I think the more we present our own work or challenge directors, the better, because things have to change, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's difficult depending on where you are in your career. I mean, if you're starting out and emerging, very much like I am, I don't suppose you feel that you can inhabit the space in that way and say, actually, I'd rather my character didn't go on that particular narrative journey, or whatever the issue is, or can I keep my hair the way it is? I mean, I guess that takes a lot of confidence.
I think what's important in our industry is diversity in front and behind of cameras,
Yes,
on stage, behind the stage, in the office. But you know, it's about diversity throughout all industry. That's the only way that you can affect really great change. So somebody like Michele Cole doing, you know, working in the way that she does, where she has complete sort of she has control. She has control, and she can navigate all the kind of, you know, the sort of difficulties that we find. That helps. We need more of that. We need more black producers, is what I'm saying. But it's not just about black producers. I want to see more black sparks. I want to see, you know, more black boom operators. It's about us being everywhere, and you know, in every part of our industry, and that's when change will happen. Because I feel, listen, I've had a brilliant career, I really do, but I feel like this bit is really visible. Having a black actor in the show, that almost feels quite easy. But I would like to walk into a room where the exec is black, you know, the exec producer is black. That for me is when I go, oh yeah, okay. Well, you know, this stuff is happening.
There's a question here from Angela. She says there's definitely been a shift in TV adverts. Do we think that this will filter more broadly across the acting industry? That's true. I mean, you know, everybody and his cousin is casting black, brown people in their adverts.
It's hilarious how they've worked out that we spend money. It's really weird how they took a lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, do we think that will have a broader influence?
I think it is changing. Yeah, I think it is changing. There's more avenues. There's things like more discussion about this. There's podcasts and things. People are talking about it now. I think we're perhaps at a turning point now where people are beginning to hear our conversations that we've been having for years. This is cultural conversations as well as our industry across the board. Web series and stuff like that. I think it comes down to us wanting to tell our stories. We've got to just tell our stories and get them out there. However we get them out there. You know, we're not going to walk into the Almeida and say, put this production on. We've got to find our spaces and just do it the way we can. Perhaps do a short film, perhaps just do it as a web series. Whatever you need to do, start putting your point of view down and tell our stories.
I guess that's part of the battle. There's a battle on several fronts, it appears to me. There's what Michele says about talent behind the camera as well as on the stage, but what you say also, Christopher, about taking charge of the narrative. And in fact, Michele, you have mentioned in an interview last year about untold black stories from history and how you would like to be involved in, you know, a project about Tudors in black Tudors in Britain, for example. So it's all of those things, isn't it?
I mean, there is an idea, unfortunately, you know, in this country, we're still sort of perpetuating the myth that that we all arrived on Windrush, or our parents arrived on Windrush, and it's just simply not the case. So I would adore to do something like that. I mean, I have to be really admit now that I have not watched Bridgerton, but what I find really exciting.
My mother's WhatsApp group is going
They ablaze
crazy over Bridgerton, let me tell you.
Well, listen, but what I find amazing is like people talking about, I hate this term, the colour-blind casting. Can't bear it. And no one's blind to colour. But anyway, but the idea that these black actors are in it despite being black and brown, when of course there were black people here in Regency times. I mean, there just was. It just is. It's just
and they were classical musicians. They were landowners. They were entertainers, famous boxers,
business people,
you name it.
So I think we have to. So we really. I mean, nobody's saying that Bridgerton is factual. Of course, it's a drama and it's a fun drama. But the idea that somehow these black people are despite it, like it's not really the history, is a nonsense. It's a nonsense.
Absolutely,
And I welcome it. I just think it's the most exciting thing. I think to see it be number one here and in the US, number one viewed on Netflix is so exciting. And I just think more please. More,
absolutely. It's I think it's a beginning. It's but I agree with you. I mean, it shouldn't be tokenistic, and it can be absolutely grounded in factual history. So
there's so many stories to be told. There's the I don't know, black GIs in Dorset in World War II.
Well, I just read exactly.
Race riots,
I know
there was.
Yeah. I mean, I just read recently about this. Someone born in Nigeria who moved to Poland with his parents and fought in the Second World War. So in 1941, was a spy for the Allies, and then I've never heard of this guy.
It's extraordinary. There's loads. So I mean, if anybody's watching, please get
I mean,
all of us. We're really
but obviously one of the other ways of getting our stories out there, Christopher, is writing about them, and your more recent piece is a response to the Black Lives Matter protests. So tell us a bit about that, please, Christopher.
So I was in the middle of writing something else, and I had an opportunity to write something to go on an online festival for August of last year, because the Edinburgh Fringe wasn't happening August of last year. So they did an online version, and they requested for lockdown plays written in lockdown. And I was writing something anyway, but I decided, suddenly I thought, well, okay, if I'm going to write something around lockdown, I'm going to write about George Floyd and the effects of George Floyd and issues pertaining from that. And I wrote this play called Under Heaven's Eyes, and I'm really proud of it. I wrote it in about 2.5, 3 weeks. And it's another solo play, but it just deals with a black person here, a black family here, regular, ordinary black family here, and how the happenings in America in real time affected him. How would it impact? How did it impact this guy's regular guy in lockdown with his family? What was the effects of that? And then deeper into that, what was going on in America? So it was the pandemic. It was Black lives, blood being spilt, and it's very, very powerful.
I mean, I think. Sorry to interrupt you, Christopher, but I just it was really a lot. People have said 2020, and I think the Black community and the trauma that we have endured over the centuries, but last year, I mean, I've been around a long time, but I had to switch off. And I remember retreating to my room and sobbing after the murder of George Floyd.
Mm.
And I'm a mother of sons, you know,
Mm.
and I remember sobbing, thinking, how many times are we gonna have to have this?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's been hard.
Yeah.
I've never
It
been in
was
so much pain. I've actually never been in so
Absolutely.
much pain. I remember writing many, many times and being in tears, floods and floods of tears,
Mm,
because what I did with it was have to look at this footage or have to look into a story of another slain black person. You
yeah.
know, it was, and the amount of black people that have been killed unjustifiably, even hangings,
Mm,
regular hangings, modern day hangings, is just off the scale. The names you wouldn't believe. It's just a deluge, and it just happens repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly. So what do you do with that? What do you do with that pain? So Under Heaven's Eyes deals with that pain and how to reconcile it,
yeah, yeah,
and how and what do you do living here and think and then thinking to yourself, well, we're here in Britain, surely it's not the same, but it is in a different way.
yeah. It is in
In
a
a
different
different way.
way, but we do have a responsibility, don't we, as parents, as brothers and sisters, and as creatives to be hopeful and optimistic. And I remember thinking, I've got teenage children, and I can't be relentlessly depressing, and they've got a future,
Yeah.
and so we do have to find those nuggets of hope, and I have been able to find them during lockdown. It's been odd in a way, because although we're disconnected physically, I have found new connections because of online platforms. So Christopher, Michelle, we've never met in real life, but now we're able to connect. So there are some positives that we
Yeah.
have to find,
I mean,
surely.
I personally, I couldn't watch the film. I've never watched the full
I
the full
didn't.
8 minutes.
I didn't.
And
I didn't even get to
um,
30 a minute.
no,
I
no,
didn't get to
I
a minute.
haven't. I felt, and so for me, what has been the positives that have come out of that have been the conversations, not only with my children, especially my son, who's 20 now, but really interesting conversations with him about race, really interesting conversations with friends of all races. And I suppose that's been the really positive thing that has come out, that there has been a willingness to talk about what we can all do to help each other. And because it
Yeah.
was traumatic, it was an awful thing for all of us to witness whilst we were all in lockdown, whilst we were worrying about something else. Then this other thing,
Yeah,
this other thing came
absolutely.
along. What's been really positive has been, there's been a lot of, suddenly there was lots of WhatsApp groups. I'm in lots of WhatsApp groups with lots of actors, actresses of colour, which has been a brilliant sort of source of information and laughs and jokes, and but also there's been a lot of conversations about what can we do in our industry. What are the things that actually now, if the people are putting up black squares and saying we stand with you, what can we say? Well, you stand, okay, you're standing. So while you're standing, can you listen? And what can
Yeah.
you? Because there was a lot of performative stuff that was going on, and so we need to move away from the performative stuff to say, right, okay. So there's been lots of discussions about hair and makeup, about treatment on set, or in a rehearsal room, about the language that we use. So I think that, and I hope that will continue.
Yeah.
As our industry kind of opens up again, I hope, because everybody wants to work, we all want to get paid. And so I'm hoping that willingness to, want our industry to thrive means that people, are listening to each other.
Yeah.
And it feels like already I've had a few conversations. I'm about to start filming in a few weeks. And already the conversations that I've had about my hair, where once upon a time it'd have been a bit like, I'd have been, waiting for the hair and makeup, and it's all a bit tetchy. Actually, I'm able to say to my agent, able to say to the director, right, what are we going to do? Because we're in a lockdown, and the loctician is not going to come and break lockdown to come. So you have to, if you want this hair, figure it out. It's
It
not
needs
my
to be an essential
responsibility.
service. It needs to be branded, categorized as an essential service. Getting your
Locticians
natural
are
hair
key
done. That's what I'm going to
workers.
say. That's what I'm going to say. So I want to go to some questions, because
Okay.
we've got a question from Tamara, the lovely Tamara, who played my daughter actually in a short film.
Oh.
So hello, Tamara. She's a rising actress, and since lockdown, it's been hard to stop herself feeling stagnant. So she wants advice for rising actors during lockdown.
Oh, I would say, if you've got the time, if you can, watch as many, the free stuff that's out on YouTube, the plays, read if that's what you're into. I don't know if does Tamara want to do stage stuff, try and get the free streaming stuff as much as you can, and read as much as you can. But also, I think, don't feel the pressure that there's, we're all at a bit of we're all, sort of slightly bumpy. So don't feel the pressure that you should be doing something amazing all the time. I think look after yourself. It's all the stuff they teach you, drum school, look after yourself, try and keep healthy, try and keep that sort of being healthy and happy as much as you can, because we all struggle with, the mind health as much as the physical stuff. But yeah, I would say tap into lots of theatres are doing lots of online stuff. I would say, I know the Kiln are doing stuff, and the Court are doing lots of stuff. So yeah.
And what about writing? Christopher, I think it's really interesting. I'm fascinated by the bravery and the courage of doing a one-man show, and I think I think I'm going to do it.
Oh,
so I think not a one-man show, obviously, but I'm going to do. I think why not, actually? And you spoke earlier about the many different ways of getting your work out to the public. There are so many different platforms now. So I guess Tamara and other young actors could start writing, start writing. There are a lot of online, there's Zoom readings. Just get your work out there. It doesn't,
Quite frankly, my daughter shows me stuff on TikTok, and I think that is like, they are masterpieces.
Absolutely.
I'm like, what the hell? So I just think there's so many ways that you can do, funny stuff, as well as, it doesn't have to be, your great play even. It's about creating, even if it is creating something on TikTok or Reels or something else. I just think, it's about keeping the creative juices flowing, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
I would agree with everything you've said, Michelle. Everything is just fantastic for Tamara. But I would add as well, don't feel like you have to be doing something.
Yeah.
You don't have to be doing something all of the time. This is. She sounds like a young actress. So your career is years and years. You've got a massive journey. So there's lots of time to develop and progress. But do everything that Michelle said. Read a play a week or something, or write. Don't forget to write your thoughts down. If you don't want to share necessarily your private thoughts, write just for yourself. You might find that you have something to say, and you say interestingly, your voice perhaps. Film yourself. Prepare for that fantastic audition, that's going to happen for you when you meet Steven Spielberg. Film yourself, practice your audition technique. At home, you've got your little phone, just do a 2-minute speech for yourself, watch it back, teach yourself, learn about yourself, but just take it easy, and don't be afraid to dip into things and try, and just find who you are as an actress.
I think there's also I think it's a great time now, because we have got so much time on our hands. I think it is a great time to actually get up Netflix and just go, right, I'm going to watch a film that I would never watch. And I'm going to give it 15 minutes. I'm going to put a foreign film. I'm sort of doing that stuff. I'm going to put a foreign film on, or I'm going to, and I might connect with it, or I might not, or I might see something that I really, you know, I've never seen before. I mean, there's stuff that you can do which isn't like I'm working on myself. You know, there's stuff like just watch a film and then just think,
Yeah.
that was really interesting.
We've got an interesting question here from Catherine here about our favourite Black theatre writers working at the moment. Do we have one or more than one? I guess obviously there's
gosh.
Christopher Tajah is one of my new
Tajah,
faves.
by the way, I say
Tajah.
My sister says Tajah, by the way, but I say Tajah.
Okay.
Gosh, I'm thinking.
But working at the moment, I'm rather a fan of Carol Phillips because he's a countryman. He's from St Kitts, where my mum was born. So I'm rather a fan of his.
My mind has literally gone blank.
Well,
but I was saying
August,
earlier that
August Wilson has always been my favourite. Obviously, he's passed on now, but
yeah.
we've
got quite. I mean, there's Alex Wheatle as well, who he writes children's books really, but I think he's written plays as well. And quite interestingly, his life story was part of the Small Axe series of films.
Okay.
So absolutely inspirational story. He was taken to care at a young age and has become this writer, which is quite an inspiration. Actually, that makes me think about you guys and how you got into acting, because I know, Michele, you have spoken about failing an A level at 19, which I did. I failed A levels too. So we've got that in common. And that and then that giving you time to think about what you really wanted to do.
Yeah. And that's really, and I sort of have repeated that a lot, and so that because I just think it's really important to say that, you know, sometimes you do kind of you do hit a wall, and then you come, you know, you go somewhere else, and that's okay, and you can come to, but you don't have to make a decision at 18 and stick to it. It's just it's a nonsense. And actually, we're living in a world now where you're going to have 3 careers anyway. You're going to have 2 careers. We're all going to be working, you know, God willing, we'll all be working until we're, you know, in our 80s. So there's going to be lots of things down the line. But yeah, I did fail.
Christopher, you're the known sometimes as the singing fishmonger. So
oh my goodness, where did you get that from?
Oh, I did my research.
You certainly did. Wow.
So Christopher had a whole other career where he was a fishmonger for a bit.
Yeah, it to have something like that in this profession is quite useful, because it's a skill, it's a trade. It's actually dying out now. A lot of counters, unless it's a family-run business, they don't know much about fish. I learned it many years ago, and I can just pick it up and fillet a fish, and I know different fish. And I worked.
My son's first job, he just got a job at the local fishmongers. I'm so proud of him. He's just amazing. Yeah, so he just knows his way around a fish. Not that he ever cleans fish at home, though. You know, I've got to pay him.
It's a skill to debone a fish and all of that kind of stuff. You know,
that's one of the other things that sometimes when I'm asked to talk to young drama students and stuff, that is one of the things I talk about. Though, is it's really important to have something. Like, you've made the decision that you're going to be an actor. So now the other decision you need to make is, what are you going to do when you're not acting? Because there's going to be a lot of time that you're not going to be acting. And it's really good to find something that you like to do, because you're going to be doing it. You know, unfortunately, you will be doing it quite a bit. Yeah. And I think that's the honest bit about what we do. You know, we can't always be on doing the acting bit. It's just not. You know, for most of us, that's just not possible. And it took, you know, I mean, to be honest with you, I still don't think I found the thing for me. But I think it's really important to find other things that you love to do, and to acknowledge that that's okay. That you're just not going to be acting for 50 weeks of the year. It's just unless you're in a soap. It's not gonna happen.
And you have been in. I
have done that as well. I've done that, but you know.
So which is nice to have that sort of regular gig, isn't it?
Yeah, it was lovely. It was lovely. But I learned so much at the Bill. Like I really, really did.
So did I. So
but,
Michele, my other hat is as a criminal barrister, and when we
okay.
were training, our crime lecturer would ask us, did we watch the Bill this week, and proceed
Wow.
to test us on it. So
Oh wow.
thank you.
That's what, but no, but I really, but I don't, you know, I really did. It was great being in front of the camera every day, like, you know, 5, 6 days a week. You know, understanding how a set works, how the lights work, what the camera's doing, is that angle really good? Oh, you know, all of that stuff. Learning lines really quickly, all of that, brilliant. You know, being able to have a mortgage. I've got a mortgage. Look at me, I'm living the dream. Like, so, you know, that stuff is really, you know, you can't deny. That's amazing. Like. So I did have an amazing time, but there came a point at which it was just like, it's tough. It's hard work. It's hard work, and after a while, you kind of looking at your friends, going, "What are they doing? Oh, that's really exciting." You see your friends doing exciting things, and you think, "Yeah, I want a bit of that now."
Yeah, well, that's the really hard thing about this profession, but
Yeah,
life generally. It's the
yeah.
looking at and social media. You
Mm,
know,
mm.
I suppose for young actors, but even for me, I fall into this trap of looking to see what other people are doing. They're doing that. Well, you know, I'm not
Yeah.
really doing much, or maybe I should do something else, because it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's okay not to do,
The truth
not to be
is,
doing
most of the
something.
time, most of us aren't working. That's the truth.
Mhm.
The truth is, most of us are. We're trying to get jobs. We're trying to get jobs. We're doing self tapes. We're trying to, at the moment, we're trying to homeschool. We're trying to keep healthy. We're trying to look after elderly parents. That's my other thing that I'm trying to do. It's like, all the time is not a kind of glamour fest of, putting on plays and
Yeah,
working on the things that we really want to work on. I think we have to be really honest about that,
yeah,
and that's okay. I think, I think it's
yeah,
okay,
yeah. It
but I think
is.
I
It
do
is
fall into
okay.
that of looking at Instagram and seeing everybody else's fabulous life and just like
Yeah,
fabulous
it's not
life,
true.
fabulous.
It's not true.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's all a filter.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, Christopher, we know that you're working on Under Heaven's Eyes.
Mm.
Is that your ongoing next project?
I've got a couple of things that I'm working on. I'm working on a project that I was working on before that I stopped writing in order to write Under Heaven's Eyes. So there's something that I'm working on. I'm not talking about it yet because I haven't finished it. So there's something ongoing that's current, but I'm also writing a solo play for another actress.
Oh wow! I might be looking for a script for an actress. I mean, I just thought I'd put that out there.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. Note taken.
We might have a
Um,
chat.
yeah, so there's several projects in short that I'm working
Mm,
on. You just have, especially with this time that we're in, we have to juggle. I had to stop working with this other actress because of the situation we're in. We stopped,
mhm,
we're meeting, and I was writing it, and we're developing it. I've got a third of it finished, so I know where it's going. I've got the whole thing in my head. I know exactly how it's going to work. I just have to fine tune it. So that's on the back burner. That's going to happen. But I'm just trying to finish this thing that I'm working on. It's become a bit of a thing now because it's in my head, and I've had to stop it, and it's just taking too long to
You
finish.
just got to get it done. You've got to
I've
get
got
it
to get
done,
it
and you,
done. So
yeah.
that's the burning thing. But obviously, Under Heaven's Eyes is my main thing because it's written, it's ready to go. But I haven't worked it through. I haven't worked the nuts and bolts of it. I haven't physicalized it and put it on the floor. I've only done it online. So for me, being a stage actor, that's not really doing it just yet. But it's there and it's ready to go.
Michele, what projects are you working on? Can you tell us what you're up to
See that?
next? Oh, this is going to hurt. Yeah.
So it's actually adapted by the guy that wrote the book. So it's about it was The Secret Diaries of a Junior Doctor. So he's
Yes.
now left. Yeah, he's now left the profession, and he's a full-time writer and comedian. and he's written a 8-part TV thing about the NHS and this junior doctor. So
Wow.
that's very exciting. So
That
I'm
is,
doing that. I
yeah.
have no idea
Great.
what that is going. I mean, my head is sort of full of, COVID. What is that going to be like?
Yeah,
Sort of trying to
yeah.
imagine what that's going to be like. But I'm really excited to be, of course, to be working, because everything shut down. I was in a play, like we were talking about our friend Shown. I was in a play that stopped. I was at the National, so that was
Weren't
really
you
tough.
also in something at the Royal Court?
So I just took part in this living newspaper just before this lockdowns.
Yeah.
So they were going to do 6 episodes. I think they're doing them online, but we did ours physically, which was amazing to be with other people. I mean, I was coming home, I had some stuff to talk about to my husband. It's like, I had news.
Yeah, what's that like?
I mean, the things that we're, but I literally would come through the door like, just because I had stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was Living Newspaper. It was really fascinating, really brilliant idea, because it's based on something from America in the 20s, and I want to know what's forgotten. See, I've really got an actor's brain. I junk everything really quickly.
Yeah, you have to remember very quickly and then make space for the new project. Yeah.
Forgotten you. But anyway, it's based on an idea that was, I think it's something like the Federal Theatre, I think it might have been called. And basically, it was a way of employing as many writers and actors and technicians as they can. So every week is going to be a different set of people. So it was a brilliant thing to be part of. And writers took their inspiration from whatever was happening in the news in the world, of which there's a lot of news at the moment.
Yeah.
I know we're about to finish, but there's so much.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing. As
Yeah.
we're sort of running into Mr. Biden and
oh my gosh, we can't even start with the storming of the Senate and all of the stuff going on, and there's a storming of the Senate, and then there's Bridgerton. I mean, Bridgerton is in the chat. I mean, there's 3 or 4. Well, yeah, because I mean, I've only watched 1 episode and I didn't like it. But yeah, Craig reckons Bridgerton's problematic in many ways. it's just his comment, and then somebody else is agreeing with Craig. I think it's a bit like Marmite. You either love it or hate it. I saw 1 episode and I hated it.
It wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me. But let me tell you, if my agent got me a gig in a corset, in sort of fabulous, I'd be there. I'd be so there.
I mean, they've got some fabulous actors in it, so I'm sort of like some people that I know that are chums, so I'm a bit like.
Yeah, it's got some.
Look, that's the other thing. At the end of the day, we gig, right?
Exactly.
We take jobs.
I'll go where the work is. Absolutely.
Yes,
Listen, we are running out of time. Sorry?
I have to catch up with this. I've not seen it.
You don't. Not so much.
Don't? Oh, okay.
And I think life's too short, personally.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Go for it. Go for it. Just give it half an hour, maybe. I don't know. What I want to ask you both, because we are running out of time, because we get a lot of actors, emerging actors watching us and following us on Instagram and so forth. And, just little nuggets of advice that you would, give actors, whether it's, I mean, I struggle with self-tapes. I'm not very good at those. So, I kind of...
What do you struggle with?
Motivation. I think I look bored in my self-tapes because I'm just like, I'm better in the room.
Right.
So, what is the advice for that? I mean, how do we deal with that?
I mean,
don't judge yourself. Don't prejudge yourself. Concentrate on the character. What is the character's needs? What does the character want? What do you want to convey? And just deliver that moment. Just deliver those moments. Don't prejudge yourself.
And I think also sometimes it's good to make a strong choice. Like, I hope not that people are, but like not do stupid things like you think you can get noticed. But I think with the self-tape thing, sometimes it's good to really make a choice and really go for it. And I've been asked, now you get asked to redo them with notes, which is the new, so that's starting to happen. So now I'm like, that's a bit like being in the room, a bit like, could you do it again? But
that's good. That's a good sign. That means
Guys,
that
I'm gonna have to, sorry, we're gonna have to close for today. And I just want to ask people to remind people that Orísun Productions is a not-for-profit organisation. We do productions as a result of, ticket sales and donations. So please scan and donate if you can. Spread the word. Thank you, Christopher and Michelle, for joining us for tea. And stay tuned. We'll be wine in advance. We will do this again, and so make sure you follow, like, share, and all of those social media things. Okay, thank you. Satish, can I have a video, please? Bye.
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 I hate to break it to you, Jordan, but having a kid is not a way to save money.
London!
I want to be an actress, model, jet yoga.
I can feel every cell in my body being drained.
I just stood there and stared.
And what happens in carnival can't always stay in carnival.
Guys, we know! I'm not going to trust you, Jordan.